the kind of problem that we are facing today and kinds of such calamities, such catastrophes which the earth has today. And I will not disclose the difference because I want you to find it out from whatever I am going to talk to. So take it as a kind of a quiz. What is the most basic difference between these kinds of catastrophes, these kinds of, shall we call as astronomical accidents that have taken place in the life of the earth? Records are available, of course not in terms of written records, that could be, but in terms of fossils and whatever material they require for studying prehistoric animals. That yes, lots of times the earth has suffered from this. So what is so special about the one that we are facing right now? That's a basic question which I'm here with you. Is that the reason because of which such a great soul as Stephen Hawking is so much worried about and says, well, let's run when there is time? I'll take care of that statement that falls out from this slightly later. And let's prepare ourselves mentally with this kind of a mindset. The basic difference between the two is something that, two in the sense, all those calamities which existed earlier in the history of the earth and the one that we are expecting within maybe about 50 years. And that is why I said in the very beginning that is, I'm here to talk to you on a problem in which your children will be involved. Perhaps you may miss it, but your children are about to get that shock. What is the difference between the kind of calamity, kind of catastrophe that we are going to face in the very near future and the ones that we had so far and we survived out? A very funny situation happened in the degree college in which I was working before coming here. I was known to be a very staunch environmentalist, and people used to crack jokes about me even in my presence. And I wouldn't normally react to them. One of those days, a news came in the paper that in the year 2108, now count how many years have remained, in the year 2108, a huge meteor, you understand, is going to dash at the earth, and that's going to finish the entire life on the earth. This is an estimated time. And the astronomers have taken a lot of pains to find even the day that we are not very much concerned about. And that was being heatedly discussed in the professor's common room in my college. And I was sitting in that corner doing something, probably as a preparation for my next lecture. And those guys were very much surprised. What's wrong with this guy? Anytime anybody used to raise even the slightest issue in environment, I used to come out with all my defense or all my offense, whichever way. And ultimately they couldn't contain their curiosity, and one of them came to me and said, Mr. Environmentalist, what is wrong with you? Have you gone deaf today? Aren't you concerned with this? I flatly said I am not concerned with it. And naturally they came to the easiest conclusion. Why? They thought that because none of us is going to survive that time, therefore it's not bad. But I said, no, that's not the reason for your information. Then they were very curious. And for some time I will leave this as a quiz to you. It's not very difficult. Try and find out an environmentalist to the core, a person who is concerned about the continuance of the most wonderful phenomenon in the entire universe, which we don't have any reason to believe today exists anywhere else in the entire universe, and we do not know how big is that universe. I repeat, we don't have any reason to believe today with certainty that life as a phenomenon exists anywhere in the entire universe. We don't have any kind of an evidence of a life existing. Now please note, I am not saying it doesn't exist. That will be ridiculous on my part, because negative statements are exclusive. They don't permit you to have any exception. I have said we don't have any reason to believe. We don't have any kind of an evidence, direct or indirect, which tells us that life forms do not or do exist. We do not. And then I am leaving the second question. I really like some one of you to come with an answer. I'll be very happy if you can. It's a very simple answer. And I told you the ridiculous answer I wouldn't give. The first one. And love is going to be there in 2108. So why bother? I said, I am bothered about that because maybe my children may not exist at time. But certainly they are going to be the children of some human beings who are my kids and kins. They are all human beings, are my blood relations. Shouldn't I be worried about them? That's something which I would like you to think about. That's number two. The first I told you, just to remind you, the catastrophe, the kind of problem that we are going to face, the problem is one of the existence, if not of the entire life system on the earth, if not, as I said, about the life as a phenomenon on the earth, I'm not so much worried about. At least the so-called developed life forms like the human beings will certainly not exist. That is given. In case that catastrophe does take place, the first to be wiped out are going to be humans. And as I said, your children will be the first victims of it. Now think of it. I said maybe, perhaps this will not happen in your lifetime. Shouldn't I be concerned about my children and grandchildren? After all, they are my representatives when I pass away. After all, they are the representatives of the so-called human society. Maybe they are not my blood relations, which is also wrong. I hope you know that there is one common mother that we have. All human beings have one common mother. Maybe something like 10 lakhs of years back. We are children from one single, and that too happens to be a woman from Congo. Must have been very dark that time. And then I don't know what kind of grades the people used thereafter to change the colors. But this is case number one that I wanted to think of. And the other one, why did I answer like that? Why did I say I'm not worried? That Swift-Tuttle, that's the name of that meteor. They have given it a name as well, Swift-Tuttle, T-U-T-L-E, which is going to dash at the Earth. Calculations are there. Unless, of course, something very miraculous happens, and probably we will be in a position to change the course of the earth by that time and book it. Possible. But I'm not very hopeful. Even then, as an environmentalist, I said I'm not worried about that. I would like someone to come up with that answer. Or otherwise, at the end of the session, I'll come with it. Please understand this. A person of that intellectual height to which most of us cannot even dream to reach in one's own lifetime, it's so much worried about what happens. Shall we be in a position to subsist, live on this earth in the next 50 odd years? And his answer is no. There is every likelihood that a fight between nations may culminate into a nuclear war. And a nuclear war cannot be an affair between only two countries. All the countries in the world are going to be involved in it because the radiation is going to be spread all over the world. And you can't escape from it. And he said that the chances the chances something like that will happen are tremendous. And therefore better escape. Take the first plane or train or rocket that's available to you and get out of the world. An ordinary person like me with limited intelligence and ability to analyze compared to what Professor Hawking has. And here I'm saying, well, the first question that comes to my mind as an ordinary person, where do we go from here? Where do we go from here? And that's something which I'll show to you on the electronic medium very soon. My question is, do we really have anything of that sort, any vehicle which can reach us to the so-called desired place? Yes, I have asked this question several number of times in my management classes, wherein a great majority of them used to be very shining engineers who come from their graduate classes thinking that the world is made by the engineers and kind of things. And they have so much tremendous faith in technology that they say this. So what really is required is that we invent a clean technology, and then that's the solution of the problem. Their entire idea of the catastrophe, the pollution. There's so much of air, there's so much of carbon, there's so much of ozone destroying, CFC, chlorofluorocarbon, and what. And then they say all that we require is ultimately what? We require a clean technology. I said, please spell that to me. What does that mean? Clean technology. Hypothesis number one. The Messiah, the one who is going to save the race, is a clean technology. Hypothesis number two. After all, God has created us in His own image. And I'm quoting from the Bible. God has created us in His own image. That means we are a set of special children of God. And the God is not going to leave us like that to die helpless.